Hello everyone, hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to learn about the Sicilian Najdorf. It's a very aggressive opening and it's a very good opening for black, and I'll be teaching you a few variations. This is a very lengthy and it's very deep of an opening, so there's a lot of variations that we won't have time to go over, but I'll try to go over the main variations. So hope you're excited and let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. So Sicilian happens when white plays e4, and it starts with c5. It immediately prevents white from trying to play d4. Not that white can't, but it's definitely a force against the center. So that's pretty good in the opening. It's usually what you want. You want to attack the center. You want to try to occupy the center, especially as black. So white can continue with knight f3 and d6. Then d4 is played. And black captures here and white recaptures, and you play knight f6, and this is just all book moves. This is just pretty standard play. And here white plays knight c3, just developing pieces, developing towards the center, trying to gain more space, squares in the center, okay, as you can see. So here black has many choices. You can go g6, which is the dragon variation, or black can go a6, which is the Sicilian Najdorf that we're looking at. So a6, what's the plan here? Well, the plan is to prevent bishop or even either the knights on arriving on b5, which can be very annoying for black to deal with. So that prevents that. And also black's plan is, so I'll give you the overview of the Sicilian. So usually what happens is white ends up going queenside castle and black ends up going kingside castle, and it's basically a race of who can push their pawns and get to the king first. So a6 actually is a long-term plan of playing b5 and basically opening up the queen side for black to start attacking on the queen side. Right? So now we can continue here. Usually white has many options here. White could play bishop e2, white could play bishop e3. Either of them is good. Usually bishop e3 is played, as this is pretty common. And here black should just develop here. So black can play e5. Some do say knight g4 can be played, but it's really a waste of tempo. What a waste of a tempo is basically a waste of move, because white could go back even if they wanted to, but usually the best move is g5, bishop g5. And usually you play h6, otherwise your knight's really not doing anything, right? And usually they play bishop h4, you play g5, and then bishop g3. And really, it might look like, oh, this is pretty nice, right? Just let me go back. It might seem like this is pretty nice, but it's really not. Your knight's gonna go back here. You're probably gonna get your bishop here, yeah, but it's just not as good for white, as good for black as it might seem. Okay. So going back here, instead of playing instead of playing knight g4, you want to play e5. E5 is a good move. It basically asks this knight to move now and therefore not occupying the center. Usually knight goes to b3, but also sometimes white can play the knight back to f3, which is still fine. It's very similar to this variation. This is the most common, so I'm going to be showing this. And now, here, usually black goes bishop e7. After bishop e7, white continues to develop, something like bishop e2. Then, again, you develop here, bishop e5. Not e5, bishop e6. And here, queen d2 is played. As I said, you want to go queenside, right? And here, you can castle, or you could play knight d7. Usually I play knight d7 here. Knight d7, queenside castle, and now black castles on the king side. So as you can see, everything is set up. As you can see, it's going to be a race now. It's going to be a race of who can push the pawns down the board and try to basically get to the other person's king. Usually white can start off with h4, okay? And you really want to combat this. You can play h6, but you have to be worried of any kind of sacrifices that may occur. Also here you could also go b5, right? And just neglect this for now. But then you have to be worried. You probably would want to play this, but as I said, you're always gonna have to worry about this. And a big key in these kind of openings is anytime a pawn in front of the king is moved, that is going to be the biggest weakness for that player. So that's definitely something that you want to keep an eye out for. So whenever you're moving pawns in front of your king, you just want to know that that could be your weakness, and that could be the reason you lose that game. So just be aware. So as you can see, this is just going to turn into a pawn race of who can get to the king first. And now I'm going to show you another variation. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to show is not all the time, there has to be a king race. Okay, there's many cases where white can actually go kingside castle. In this case, you still continue the same way with knight d7, and then usually here white has many opportunities. They can actually go f4 if they wanted to, even f3 to just protect this pawn. Usually, if I were playing white, I would play just queen d2 because I want to get my rooks to the c file and the d file, so I can attack this weakness of black. And here, black usually castles. White usually plays the rook to c1 first, just because they want to be able to handle any kind of problems that can happen on this file, as this is black's best diagonal of attack of any kind. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention is this square, the d5 square. That is the most important square. If you're ever able to get off d5 as black, you should 100% do it, and that's usually the best move. If white ever allows black to play d5 and open up the center, then white is usually worse, possibly even losing. Okay. Now here, usually I play h6 to just stop this bishop g5, which can get annoying. And here, f4 is actually a pretty good move that white could play here. And here you don't necessarily have to take, but and you probably shouldn't. Here's why: you just let this bishop here. If you take, let me show that. Take, and you just allowed another piece to attack this weakness that you have. So usually I don't take. I'm not really worried about this, as I will just trade my bishop. So usually I play b5 and just try to, attack these knights, make the move, right? And if they play f5, as I said, you can just take, or you could actually go bishop c4. That's another advantage of playing b5, right? So if takes, then yeah, the knight has to go to a really annoying square, which is horrible for the knight. So that's definitely an advantage. If they ever play f5, you always want to have b5 in, right? And usually white usually plays cd1. They can just move this rook around. Usually when they play f4, they won't leave it without a rook protecting it, right? So they can just move this around, and now I would go queen c7, completing development, as the rooks are now connected. And this is a pretty solid position for both sides, and it's also pretty aggressive. So this is really what you want to achieve with the Sicilian Najdorf, and that's the main objective of this opening, is to give black an aggressive attacking chance, basically counter-attacking white, because usually white has the advantage at the start because they're moving first. So you want to, and this opening really helps minimize that advantage. So this is a good opening to try, and you should definitely try it out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you were able to learn something. If you have any feedback, if you think I missed any variation, or if I messed any moves up, or also if you have any content ideas, any things that I should make a video on, or any openings, please let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you later.